Is the Bitcoin dream over? Okay, in this video, we're gonna have a candid conversation. I'm not gonna hop on the computer. We're just gonna talk about Bitcoin. What has been happening since all-time highs in August of 2025? What has led to this price action amidst commodities and stocks really outperforming every single thing in the market right now, and really go over what can we expect in the future for an asset like Bitcoin and answer the critical question of, is Bitcoin dead? So let's go ahead and jump right into it, guys. If you are new to the channel here, my name is 𝗪𝗛𝗪. We go live and have videos on the channel 3 to 5 times a week, going over crypto markets as well as prediction markets. So if that interests you, like the video down below and subscribe to the channel for more. And if you need a place to trade on chain, I absolutely recommend Blowfin. Blowfin is a centralized exchange with no KYC. Tons of pairs for you to trade on. I would highly advise to check out Blowfin down below in the description. Let's just dive into it. Obviously, a lot has changed in the market since Donald Trump has come into the markets. I think that was a definite landmark. You know, we look back at the election of 2024, and a lot of crypto people, myself included, were really excited about the agenda that he was pushing, that he was going to get behind Bitcoin. And let's just be honest, from his election up until the Trump coin launch, things were looking beautiful. I mean, Bitcoin was maybe in a better place as far as velocity than it had ever been. Trump coin launches, and obviously that kind of derails everything. The market went into turmoil until the summertime, which usually the summertime's a really slow time for markets. People always say, well, the traders are leaving their desk. They're not going to be doing volume on these markets, etc. Well, August 2025 comes around and Bitcoin's trending at $126,000. I mean, I remember I was, my fiance and I had just gotten engaged. We were having a great time. I get a notification on my cell phone, Bitcoin, new all-time high at $126,000. I said, wow, you know, we're not even at the fourth year or the fourth quarter of the 4-year cycle. So like, it was really exciting. We were 3 months out from potentially what was supposed to be the top of the bull market, right? Q4 of the 4th year of the 4-year cycle. Typically that has been a repetitive theme, right? But history doesn't always repeat itself, but it often rhymes. And during this time period, of course, from Trump's first year in office, we had seen ETF approvals. This has been pushed to Roth IRAs, and 401ks have access to buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, talking about altcoin ETFs. So much stuff was going on and swirling in the crypto world that it seemed like, wow, we are finally here. Right? People were going on publications. Larry Fink from BlackRock said Bitcoin's the future. Michael Saylor's just buying billions and billions of dollars of it every single week. And, you know, big banks, Chase, Bank of America, Citibank, were all leaning into Bitcoin and crypto. It almost looked like Bitcoin had become inevitable at that point in time. But one thing that Bitcoin people really forget about, and I think with investing, a lot of this happens, right? There is such a thing as buy the rumor, sell the news. And there definitely is such a thing of expectation and what people are looking for around the corner. And right now with Bitcoin, we have the Clarity Act pending with Congress and to get that passed. And there's a lot of rumors that the Clarity Act's going to go out soon. And we're talking, you know, Donald Trump's hinted at lower capital gains. That would definitely enthuse us crypto people, right? We would be really excited about that. But it's the same thing with altcoins. It's the same thing with companies. You know, you look forward to their earnings, and then earnings draw a big dichotomy of either up price action or down price action, or buy the rumor, sell the news. An altcoin like Ethereum has a network upgrade. Sometimes it'll pump into it and then it'll dip after. Why is that? It's the expectation effect, okay? When you have something to look forward to, then people are excited. People want to buy in. They want to see what's going to happen. And it was the same thing with Bitcoin. Once Donald Trump won that election in October of 2024, I mean, everyone was looking forward to what he was going to do with Bitcoin, right? And then all of this stuff happened. You know, Bitcoin really did become mainstream. I had people telling me, you know, they're kicking themselves. They didn't buy at 60,000. Well, here we are, February 24th of 2026, and we are sitting in the low 60,000 areas. So, you know, what has happened, right? I think that obviously the government shutdown really did affect the momentum of the Clarity Act during Q4 of 2025. But also, I think exactly the expectation effect happened with something like Bitcoin, right? For 14 years, we had been waiting since 2011, we had been waiting for Bitcoin to become this mainstream hedge against inflation, this asset that everyone should own inside of their portfolios. Well, now it is, right? So what's next? I think we actually have to let the inflation hedge, quote unquote, actually occur, right? I mean, cost of living, despite what people say out there, is extremely high. If you look at the real estate numbers, there are almost record low buyers, and there's record high people saying they want to sell their homes, right? So we're in this point in the economy where things are the scales are kind of tipping. And even though the stock market has been in a bull run and commodities have really done well, I think that Bitcoin, once these types of things really become uneasy, like the average American or the average consumer out there is having a hard time, right? You can't go to the grocery store these days and not spend a few $100s. And for a lot of people, that's a really expensive grocery trip, right? So that's just the way that the world is going right now. And Bitcoin will eventually fit into that mold of a hedge against inflation style investment. And if you just look at history, right, this happens every time. When we hit that new all-time high, nobody exactly knows where the top is. Now we're sitting in these $60,000 levels. Usually the bottom of the bear market happens 1 year after the top, which typically has been between August and November of the following year of the cycle. So right now, it's really about survival. If you are in Bitcoin, if you are in crypto, I don't think that the dream is over, but I do think a lot of the expectations are over, right? I think that what else can happen, right? Bitcoin has been in strategic reserve. States have been buying Bitcoin. Full-blown countries have been buying Bitcoin. Companies have put it on their balance sheet. Steak and Shake is paying their employees a Bitcoin bonus on their hourly wages. The things that we wanted to happen with Bitcoin are now here. And a lot of people have also been upset about, look, the suits are kind of in control now. The entities and, BlackRock, Michael Saylor, etc., they own a lot of Bitcoin and they control the price action, right? So I think that we have to really just settle down about this short-term price action and look ahead to the future and actually let Bitcoin become the thing that we have thought it would be for the entirety of its existence, right? And a lot of people wanted this regulation, wanted all this push, and I do think it's amazing. But once that expectation went down and all of that happened, people don't know what to look forward to next with Bitcoin. So I definitely do think that the agenda around midterms this year will be a lot better. I think that Donald Trump needs to push crypto up a little bit for his approval ratings at the midterms. So that's what I'm looking forward to this year. I definitely think that Bitcoin and crypto will become at the top of the list again, especially once the Clarity Act passes. He's going to, talk a big game about how the US is the capital of crypto in the world. Do I believe that? No. I mean, I live here in the US. I definitely don't think the USA is the crypto capital of the world, but that's just my opinion. So I think that we have to lower expectations as to how fast this thing's going to become this, digital reserve currency that's a hedge against inflation, all this stuff. Look, what happened this last year is incredibly bullish, okay? But all those bullish catalysts led to price action that couldn't sustain itself in the short term. But as time plays out, the Bitcoin thesis is not dead. That is my opinion, humbly, truly. And this is talking like if I really did think Bitcoin was dead, I would probably be the first one to tell you. I mean, it's really hard to stay bullish during these time periods, but if you look at it objectively, the amount of bullish catalysts that happened in 2025, and then when you looked around the corner, looking back on it, hindsight's 2020, it did make sense why the top was 126K in August. And then the government shutdown and then the delay on the Clarity Act, really just a pause on crypto legislation and regulation. And ever since then, other asset classes have had runs, but I do think that Bitcoin will have its time in the sun once again. But this time we have to just let it do what it's supposed to do. Be that digital reserve, be that digital currency that we look at as, okay, this is a little bit of a hedge from traditional money, from traditional investing, etc. So now it's just time to let Bitcoin mature and do its thing. I still do believe in the thesis we're gonna see all-time highs again. We will see probably 250K, 500K on Bitcoin. You just have to be patient. And if you're investing in Bitcoin, it almost has to become a thing where, yeah, you can check on the market, but it's one of those things you just shouldn't touch. Because I believe fully in the next 5-10 years, you'll look at that balance in your Bitcoin account and be proud that you held throughout these tumultuous times. So that's going to be it for today's video. No screens, no flashy tweets that we're showing today, just a heart-to-heart talk, me and you guys on the other side of this screen about what is going on with Bitcoin. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, like the video down below, subscribe to the channel for more, and I'll see you guys on the next video. As always, trade responsibly, my friends, and stay bullish, my friends.